A shared trailer, a love scene rehearsed one time too many, a marriage that quietly died before the cameras even stopped rolling. Some of these affairs became Hollywood legend love stories, so enduring the scandal that sparked them was forgiven, even romanticized. Others destroyed everything, careers, reputations, entire families, leaving a spouse to learn the truth not from a phone call but from a tabloid cover. Decades later, some stars still defend what happened behind the scenes. Others refuse to say a single word about it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on Hollywood's most explosive on-set affairs. Ryan Phillippe and Reese Witherspoon first crossed paths in 1997 at her 21st birthday celebration and married 2 years later in 1999, the very year the pair also shared the screen as step-siblings in the teen drama Cruel Intentions. Their marriage placed them among Hollywood's most watched young couples for the better part of 7 years, and together they raised 2 children, daughter Ava and son Deacon. Everything shifted in 2006 when Phillippe began filming the war drama Stop Loss opposite Australian actress Abbie Cornish. Word soon spread that the 2 co-stars had grown unusually close while shooting on location in Austin, Texas. Entertainment reporters covering the story at the time noted that Phillippe made little effort to keep the relationship discreet, with one journalist observing that the pair had been seen dining together publicly and that Cornish had reportedly been spotted leaving his apartment more than once. Witherspoon is said to have confronted him after finding evidence on his phone, and according to a source who spoke with tabloids at the time, Phillippe acknowledged during that conversation that the rumors held some truth. That October, Witherspoon filed for divorce citing irreconcilable differences. Phillippe later pushed back publicly, insisting he had never been unfaithful and arguing their marriage had already been strained well before Cornish entered the picture, calling the media's focus on her unfair. Whatever the full truth, Phillippe and Cornish went public with their relationship within months of the filing and stayed together for roughly 3 more years, ultimately parting ways in 2010. 6 years later, a far more inescapable scandal broke one built on a single set of photographs that left no room for denial, unlike the murkier rumors that had once trailed Ryan Phillippe without ever being fully confirmed. Kristen Stewart had risen to global fame through the Twilight franchise, and by 2012, she was deep into a long-term relationship with her co-star Robert Pattinson. Dubbed Robston by fans and press, the couple was tracked with an intensity rarely matched in Hollywood, their every public appearance dissected down to body language. That year, Stewart starred in Snow White and the Huntsman, directed by Rupert Sanders, who was married to model actress Liberty Ross and father to their 2 young children. In July 2012, a British tabloid published photos showing Stewart and Sanders in an intimate embrace inside a car taken weeks earlier during a private outing. The images spread instantly, dominating entertainment coverage by the next morning. Both issued public apologies that same day, with Stewart calling it a momentary indiscretion and apologizing directly to Pattinson. Ross and Sanders separated soon after divorcing in 2013. Stewart and Pattinson's already strained relationship ended within weeks. The story lingered for months, partly because the photos left nothing to interpretation, unlike prior affair rumors. Studio executives reportedly worried about the fallout for Stewart's upcoming films. Despite the turmoil, she and Pattinson still had to promote Breaking Dawn Part 2 together. Stewart later called it the hardest period of her young life, saying she felt she'd let down both Pattinson and their devoted fan base. Sanders largely stayed silent publicly, refocusing on his directing career. LeAnn Rimes and Eddie Crean. A different scandal from a few years earlier proved just as damaging, though it took considerably longer to fully unravel, and it eventually reshaped reality television as much as it reshaped the 2 marriages it ended, turning one of the wronged spouses into a media personality in her own right. Country singer LeAnn Rimes and actor Eddie Crean met in 2008 while filming the television movie Northern Lights. Both were married to other people at the time. Rimes was married to dancer Dean Sherritt, whom she had wed in 2002, while Sirian was married to Brandi Glenville, with whom he had 2 young sons and had been together for roughly a decade. Photographs of Rhimes and Crean together began circulating in 2009, showing the two on a vacation together despite both still being legally married, and both marriages collapsed within months of the story breaking publicly, with tabloid coverage of the affair dominating entertainment headlines for the better part of that year. An earlier scandal proved just as damaging, though it unfolded more slowly and it ended up reshaping reality. Television nearly as much as it reshaped the two marriages it destroyed, turning one wrong spouse into a media star in her own right. Country singer LeAnn Rimes and actor Eddie Cibrian met in 2008 while filming the TV movie Northern Lights. Both were married elsewhere at the time, Rimes to dancer Dean Sharramet, her husband since 2002, and Cibrian to Brandi Glanville, with whom he shared two young sons after nearly a decade together. Photos of Rimes and Cibrian on a vacation surfaced in 2009, and both marriages collapsed within months as tabloids kept the affair in headlines for the rest of the year. Glanville later turned the fallout into a career, joining the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills in 2011 and openly revisiting the affair across multiple seasons, keeping the story alive long after it broke. Rimes and Cibrian divorced their spouses and married in April 2011 in California. Rimes later called it the hardest period of her life, saying the backlash against her was far harsher than what Cibrian faced for the same affair, a gap she linked to her wholesome image as a former child country star. Sharramet largely avoided the public feuding. Speaking rarely about the divorce and staying out of the narrative, Glanville continued building. Rimes and Cibrian went on to live very publicly together, even starring in a joint reality series. Rimes has since said she and Glanville eventually reached a civil, if not warm, understanding once time had passed, and both had settled into their new lives. An even older scandal followed a strikingly similar script. Two married actors growing close on a modest film set that ended up drawing far more attention than its box office numbers ever did, reshaping both of their careers in the process. Melanie Griffith was married to actor Don Johnson, her on-again, off-again partner dating back to the 1970s when she began filming the 1995 comedy Too Much opposite Spanish actor Antonio Banderas. Then a rising international star still building his American career after years working closely with director Pedro Almodóvar in Spanish cinema. Cast as romantic leads, the two reportedly developed an immediate connection during production that caught colleagues on set off guard. Griffith and Johnson divorced in 1996, and Griffith married Banderas that same year in a London ceremony, a turnaround quick enough to draw heavy tabloid scrutiny given how recently she and Johnson had reconciled after their earlier split. Griffith and Banderas stayed married for nearly 2 decades, raising a daughter Stella before divorcing in 2015. Griffith later spoke candidly about falling for Banderas quickly while still married to Johnson, though she mostly avoided detailing the overlap, instead calling the connection instant and undeniable from their first days working together. Johnson has rarely discussed the marriage's end publicly, though he and Griffith later remained cordial for the sake of their daughter actress Dakota Johnson, born in 1989 during the couple's second marriage. Banderas has since spoken warmly about his years with Griffith, calling the marriage a formative chapter of his life. A strikingly similar pattern unfolded 5 years later, this time involving an even more high-profile husband in a divorce that dominated magazine covers for months. By 2000, Meg Ryan had spent a decade as one of Hollywood's most bankable romantic comedy stars, known for When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, and You've Got Mail. She had been married to actor Dennis Quaid since 1991, and the couple had a young son, Jack, born in 1992. That year, Ryan co-starred with Russell Crowe in the thriller Proof of Life, playing the wife of a kidnapped engineer opposite Crowe's hostage negotiator. Tabloids soon reported an unusually close bond forming between the two during filming in Ecuador. Ryan and Quaid separated in June 2000, months before the film's December release, and the timing fueled speculation, linking the split to Crowe speculation that grew after paparazzi photographed the pair together on multiple occasions. Ryan never fully confirmed or denied a romance with Crowe, though she acknowledged around the film's release that her marriage had struggled long before filming and that she didn't want to pin the divorce on one outside cause. Whatever the relationship with Crowe amounted to, it didn't outlast the film's promotional run, and Ryan and Quaid's divorce was finalized in 2001. The rumors trailed Ryan for years, marking a shift away from her wholesome, romantic lead image toward a more tabloid-scrutinized public narrative. Quaid has spoken about the split only occasionally, usually focusing on his bond with their son. Ryan, meanwhile, largely retreated from the marquee romantic roles that had defined her career, a shift she's linked partly to the intense scrutiny that followed her through the early 2000s. An even less ambiguous case unfolded the year before Proof of Life hit theaters, involving an Oscar-winning actor whose engagement barely outlasted the shoot that ended it, and a romance as famous for its intensity as for how abruptly it began. Billy Bob Thornton was engaged to actress Laura Dern, together roughly 3 years and living with her for much of that time when he began filming the 1999 comedy Pushing Tin opposite Angelina Jolie. Those close to the production later described Thornton and Jolie growing close, in a way that surprised even colleagues familiar with both actors, the bond reportedly deepening fast over the course of filming. Thornton and Dern's engagement collapsed abruptly before the film's release, with Dern reportedly learning of it through media coverage rather than from Thornton directly. Thornton and Jolie married in Las Vegas in May 2000, in a ceremony so hastily arranged that few in either of their circles knew beforehand, reportedly pulled together within hours of the decision. Thornton later said the relationship felt less like a choice than something neither of them could stop once it started. The marriage became known for unusually intense displays of devotion, including matching name tattoos and vials of each other's blood worn as necklaces, details that drew heavy media attention as proof of how quickly the two had become consumed by one another. The marriage ended in divorce in 2003, about 3 years in. Jolie later described the period as intense and all-consuming without addressing the circumstances of Thornton's split from Dern. Dern has rarely revisited the engagement's end publicly, though she's acknowledged that hearing about it through the press rather than from Thornton made an already painful moment harder. Both Thornton and Jolie went on to build longer-lasting relationships in the years that followed. The next case followed an almost identical arc, this time bringing down a marriage much of the public had followed closely for years and considered one of Hollywood's most stable. Brad Pitt had been married to actress Jennifer Aniston since 2000, a union widely seen as one of the industry's steadiest and most watched. In 2004, Pitt began filming Mr. and Mrs. Smith opposite Angelina Jolie, playing a married couple secretly working as rival assassins, a role demanding intense on-screen chemistry across a production that stretched over several months. Rumors of a connection surfaced during filming, fueled by paparazzi photos of the two spending time together off-set. Both actors initially denied any romance, with Pitt telling one interviewer the on-screen chemistry was simply good acting. Pitt and Aniston announced their separation in January 2005, months before the film's June release, and the timing triggered intense scrutiny, with magazine covers openly speculating about a link between the film and the marriage's end. Pitt and Jolie didn't publicly confirm their relationship until months later. Dubbed Brangelina by the press, the couple became among the most photographed in the world over the next decade, eventually raising 6 children together, marrying in 2014 and divorcing in 2016 after a lengthy, highly public legal battle. Aniston has spoken about the period only sparingly, generally avoiding direct comment on what role, if any, the film played in her marriage's timing, though she's acknowledged the divorce and its coverage were among the hardest stretches of her public life. An early 2000s case brought a similarly public fallout, though this one involved a partner who wasn't simply left behind quietly. She was 7 months pregnant when the news broke. Billy Crudup had been with actress Mary Louise Parker for roughly 7 years, the two having met while co-starring in a 1996 Broadway revival of Bus Stop, and keeping their relationship largely private compared to many Hollywood couples. That changed when he began filming the 2004 movie Stage Beauty, alongside Claire Danes in 2003. By the time production wrapped, Parker was 7 months pregnant with the couple's first child, a pregnancy both had reportedly planned and wanted deeply. Representatives confirmed the split to the press in December 2003, with a source close to Parker calling the situation especially painful given how deliberately the pregnancy had been planned and how far along she already was. Crudup began dating Dane shortly after, and the two stayed together for roughly 3 years before splitting in 2006. Reflecting on the scandal more than a decade later on Howard Stern's radio show, Dane said she'd simply been in love at 24 and hadn't grasped what the public fallout would look like, adding that the backlash against her personally was among the hardest experiences of her career at the time. Parker gave birth to their son William in January 2004. Despite the painful circumstances, she and Crudup have continued co-parenting amicably, and Parker later offered warm public remarks when Crudup married actress Naomi Watts in June 2023. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next one.